good afternoon and welcome back to the channel. You're joining me today in Clonakilty in County Cork, and as you can tell with the fashionable over get-up, it's a bit of a wet day unfortunately, but today we're having our last hurrah tour for the summer, if you could call the weather that, on good old Daisy. Now this tour was almost cut short this morning when Daisy's bowled short again, but this time at the other side. I'll show you. So this is where in France it shored, which stayed on this time, but it snapped off this time. Lucky there was a little bit of travel left in the boat to smack it through. It'll hold for now, but I suppose it'd be best off buying the official bolt from Hitchcock's. But today, what journey do we have ahead of us? We're going to go down to Mizen Head, which is the southernmost point in Ireland, kind of. We'll talk about that when we get there. And on the way we might stop off at some curious sites along the way. We'll be going down to Skibbereen, through Skull, and you know what, let's get on the bike and get a move on because the day is waning. Perhaps more predominantly relevant about Clonakilty is a couple of miles of here was the birthplace of Michael Collins. Now, not the astronaut as people internationally may associate with Michael Collins, but the Irish revolutionary leader who was born here in 1890, I believe. Now, Michael Collins played a variety of roles during the 1916 Rising and the Irish War of Independence that was the greater zeitgeist of. And then later on during the 1920s, during the Irish Civil War, he was a prominent figure in the Irish Republican Army. Now this is the earlier IRA at its inception, not the later one you might associate with the Troubles. That's a whole other story that it's not for me to distinguish between the two, but he was killed in Cork in 1922 in an ambush as shown in the film The Wind That Shakes the Barley. If you ever want to learn a bit more about the Irish history under occupation of Britain and the separation troubles that followed, that's a good film to start with. But maybe a bit more light-hearted about Clonakilty, although perhaps you might say heavier hearted because of cholesterol, is Clonakilty sausages, which are one of the main exports of this area, particularly the blood pudding. I've never had it. Marty, you might have had it. In fact, I'm going to ask you this when we get back and intercut the video here. What are Clonakilty blood pudding sausages like?
Well, if they're pudding sausages, they're not sausages, they're pudding.
What do you think of Clonakilty black pudding?
Yeah, it's pretty tasty, but it could be better.
Riveting stuff, Marty. Thank you very much for that, if you did in fact have them. Anyways, now see, lots here to do with Michael Collins. I think there's a museum dedicated to him there, Michael Collins' house. For now, we're going to keep heading on because we've got to go down to Mizen Head. Along the way we're going to pass through Skibbereen, and after Skibbereen I think there should be a lot of beautiful scenery. Now, many moons ago, about 670 approximately, I took the Bullet for the first time down to Cork to see old Dr. Spillane, who is now officially a doctor, so congratulate him in the comments. This wasn't the time I was dropping the Vespa to him, it was a different time. It was June 2021, I believe, and I went down to visit him, and then the next day he was studying for said PhD, so I had the day to myself, and I had Daisy with me. So I just kept heading south, and somehow I ended up in Skibbereen. I was a wee wanderer back then. I didn't, going to Cork was as far as I'd wandered, and Skibbereen was very far from home base of Tremor. But along the way there was a couple of strange sights that I spied, and I wonder will we come across any of them on the journey today. I wasn't filming back then, you see. I wouldn't say no to this fella speeding up a little bit now, I wouldn't. Considering we're going about 50, which is half the speed limit. Oh, look what we got here. 2 + 1, let's go, baby! Atlantic Way. Fáilte go Skibbereen. Woo! Bit of touring, good for the soul. What a view, huh? Look at this. I passed this a few years ago, as I was talking about before. What a little model. Very cute, very rusty, but fantastic. Now I can see that little cheeky bugger has made its way out. So we're going to find a little lay-by and just hammer it back in before too long. So, new fun thing to keep checking it. It'll be fine. It's not a Bullet Wanderer video with Daisy Bell if there's not something falling apart, you know? And that's part of the fun. As long as it's not raining, I'm not too upset. If it was raining, oh, I'd be crankless. Yeah, you cheeky thing. Okay. Thank you for giving me this hammer and rod, Dad. I feel like this is my Mjolnir and this is my lightning and I am Thor. God of motorbike falling apart. Okay, let's continue on the skib. With that unpleasantness out of the way, welcome to Skibbereen. Skibbereen sadly has a history of being one of the hardest hit places by the famine, and a lot of people would have began their passage to the Americas from here. Skibbereen is the so-called Famine Capital of Ireland. And what was the famine? The famine, or the Great Hunger,
was caused by many significant factors, but the two main ones might be the potato blight, which was a fungal disease that decimated the potato crop, the primary food source of the Irish population, and the second one being
all the food was being exported out of Ireland to the UK and the colonies while the Irish people starved under British occupation. Now I know a lot of British people watch the channel, so I'm not slighting you personally, but the fact is we were oppressed some 200 to 800 years ago, and that's why sometimes there's a bit of a sore point. Look, it's too much to get into in this video, so I'll spare you that. But suffice to say, a lot of miles south of here is Fastnet Lighthouse, which is also known as Ireland's teardrop, because on those famine ships that were making their way to the Americas, that would have been the last any of those people would have seen of Ireland. Probably for the rest of their life. Very little likelihood of coming back. But Skibbereen today is home to lots of music festivals and jolliness that contrasts a rather sad past. I would imagine, yeah, mass graves of the Great Famine. A lot of people were buried in unmarked graves by the hundreds of thousands. Ireland's population still hasn't fully recovered from the famine, or has it just recovered? I'll check the figures for you here. As we have still many miles to munch and a cheeky boat that doesn't like to stay put, we're not going to stop and look, we're just passing through. Mizen Head, well, next thing Skull will be next, which is spelled S-C-H-U-L-L. On our way down to Mizen Head, the southernmost point of Ireland, supposedly. That's the generally accepted southernmost point of Ireland. Is that a puppy looking at me in the car ahead? Very handsome chap. Hi puppy. Can you see him? I did foot and wave. Sometimes I get a bit mentally crossed. And I do both. Mizen Head, 34 kilometres. Gosh, I'm making much better time today than I expected I would be, even with all the setbacks. Look at that fabulous bridge. What would you say the chances are that's an old railway one? Down the bike. Hope for the best. There's some fascinating landscapes around here. Which, as I just started recording, we're not getting to see. Oh, Brendan. Don't know if it comes across in the videos, but most of these are hobbled together from the best of the footage that I can get on a given day. I often forget to record the very important parts and regret it, but I'm trying better. I'm trying to be better. And also the commentary sometimes can be a bit quick when I'm in voiceover, so that's something that I ought to tamp down a bit. You let me know. Your feedback is important to me. Damn, look at all that. I believe this means we're in Skull. Yeah. Skull on Skull. Oh, so it's not Skull, but it's Skull, which Oscailga means the school. On Skull, the school. I don't know why I didn't realise that was what that was an anglicised version of, because that was fairly basic Gaeilge as it goes. Now, on a good day, if we were looking south out that sea, we might see Fastnet Lighthouse. Today is not that day. It's all happening here now. Yeah, great. Now, lads, keep an eye out for a petrol station. I'm good for now, but tomorrow morning it'd be nice to know there's one within, say, 50 miles of Mizen Head. Not low yet, but I know in 40 miles I'll be on reserve. Today's journey started off at 30,900 miles. We're at 31,065. So yeah, we've got 40 good miles left, and then 40 uh-ohs. 24-hour fuel, Drinach, Lower Town. Okay, we'll be fine, we'll go there in the morning. Don't you worry about it, Daisy. Not that you need it. Although, let me see if I... yeah. Petrol even closer, by car. Well, the other camera died, but that's fine. It was a long day for it, but what a spot, right? So I'm happy with how this thing is sheared, because it means it can't go any further than the exhaust on the other side. If I had a little block of wood or something to put between this and the exhaust, we'd be in business. But maybe it's better that it's not, so that at least it has room to vibrate and not shear off that side. And then, you know, it can only go so far. I can always push it back in once I just check on it every once in a while. I know this is ultimately very stupid, but this is the facts of life. And until I get a new bolt, this is just going to have to do. And it wouldn't be an adventure without Daisy. I could have taken the Honda, but it's got to be Daisy. So onward to Mizen Head, which is just around that way somewhere. Now, it should be noted when I say the southernmost point in Ireland, I did mention Fastnet Lighthouse, which is obviously part of the Republic of Ireland, but further south in the sea. I mean the furthest point on the mainland that you can go to. But technically, I can't remember the name of it, but the headland next to this is technically further south than this one. But generally, people consider Mizen Head to be the southernmost point in Ireland. You know, Mizen Head to Famine Head. It's got a better ring to it. 3 kilometres, Ireland's most southwesterly point. Okay, they specified slightly more. Southwesterly is a funny one. Look, we've ticked off 2 of the cardinal directions of Ireland on this channel now. We did Slatehead before. So what time have we? We have 10 to 6. I think it's about a 15-minute drive from here to Crookhaven. So even with all the setbacks, bullet time, hello, bonjour, mes vaches. They're uncomfortably close to the road for me. Should be a quick drive back. And as I always say, bullet time is slightly faster than Google Maps time. Almost there, guys, and the view is getting more misty Mizen. I'm gonna put you in 5th, Daisy, so you can just chug along. Mizen Head Drive end. So I think you park somewhere here and walk the end of it. I'm sorry I can't take you with me, Daisy. Whew. Are you in neutral? No, you're just coasting along nicely. Now you're in neutral. And what do we have here? A Transalp? Africa Twin. Okay, here we park. I'd say here we have our thumbnail photo. For today, the visitor centre is closed now, which means you can't go down to the southernmost point. So tomorrow morning, and I'm going to time skip the video here, we'll go and have a look at it because the weather's supposed to improve. Let's see if it did. I wouldn't have believed you if you told me today it was going to be this hot, but I'm sweating buckets. You can just see it there between fog. Roadside, that's the actual southmost, but Mizen Head is the southwestmost. Harvested Marty's soul into this mannequin. the end of Ireland. And hopefully that was an improved weather look at the southernmost point in Ireland. But for now, let's get to the accommodation over in Crookhaven. They're gone now, but I was chatting with the owners of the Transalp. There was two of them. They were Hungarian. I've left this in gear. I'm not going to make a mistake here. There you go. They've actually only bought it this year and done 70,000 kilometers, I think he said. They drove from Hungary and then they were touring the Orkney Islands, and then they're actually headed down here on their way back to Hungary, going through France some distance. Not Transalp, Africa Twin. But let's get to Galley Cove, because I think it's time to get in somewhere cozy, have some nice food and a pint, and wrap up today's video. Yeah? Okay. Crookhaven, 2 kilometers this way. O'Sullivan's, that sounds like the bar for us, doesn't it, Daisy? Although you don't drink. She just drinks ethanol. Actually, she just nurses ethanol. She glugs down oil. I was very lucky with my accommodation tonight. You see, most of the stuff is very booked out. It's August, it's popular season, even though the weather is trash. So we rang a couple of places, but she said she'd ring me again the next morning and let me know if there's a place here, because she had a couple that she wasn't sure were coming or not. Didn't hear anything from her until the next day. Oh, that's it. So I was worried that I didn't have a place to stay, but then around 6 o'clock, just as I was about to like make a new plan, she rang and said, I've got a spot for you. Have you found accommodation yet? No, says I. I would love that spot. Thank you so much. So that's how I got this accommodation. And also that's how you do a 6 turn. Yeah, I'm gonna go in and get dried off, and I'll talk to you either at the pub or on the way back. This is it. This is one of the best roads in Ireland, in my opinion. I love this.